What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic, and here it is, my top 10 out of my top 40 of the year 2022. This is it, the best of the best, and I think this one's gonna be a little bit more fun because I don't think I gave out a single 5-star rating this entire year. Gave it a lot of 4.5s, but I think that makes it maybe a little bit more interesting just in terms of where things are placed and what could be my number one. So here we go, the top 10, and I'm gonna kick it off with my number 10, Sentient Horror, Rites of Gore. Man, death metal had a solid year, and this one was no exception. I've been a fan of this band since pretty much their start, and I think this could be their most well-rounded offering just yet. This band knows how to blend both that European, more Stockholm side of death metal with the rich HM2 tones that I absolutely fucking love, as well as Floridian death metal, like stuff that is very reminiscent of early Death and Cannibal Corpse and Deicide. This album is flat out brutal from start to finish, but oh my god, it's the songwriting and dynamics. They just know how to keep it very fresh and very interesting. Swamp Burial, the title track in here is absolutely fucking amazing. Descend to Chaos. This album is packed full of nothing but death metal rippers, and again, that bridge between two very different styles, they blend the styles very well to pretty much homogenize it and make it as brutal as possible. When I first heard this band, I was kind of shocked they were from New Jersey. Like, this legit sounded like a band that came out of Stockholm or Florida. I couldn't tell which. I mean, the HM2 tone kind of made me think it was Stockholm, but either way, this band has tapped into something very primal and very retroactive, but still very fresh in death metal, and I absolutely love this fucking album. Much like I say at the end of all of these, if you have not checked this out for whatever reason, this is some of the best death metal that came out this year, at least in my opinion. Check this one out and fucking dive headfirst in all the fucking riffs and death metal tropes that we all love about death metal, because they're all right here. Definitely check this one out. Number 9, Nomas, Consume, Deny, Repent. This has been a hell of a year for grind, and man, this album absolutely fucking crushed. It is barely over 20 minutes long, but this packs all the fucking death grind energy I could ever want on an album. The riff work on here is not only brutal, but also very reminiscent of crossover thrash, especially when you get their ultra crunchy tone. The vocals alternating between fucking rabid screams and low growls, both by the frontman and the drummer occasionally too, gives this album an especially feral sort of feel to it. It is absolutely loaded with just explosive songs. The songs are hyper violent, going from hardcore grooves to almost black metal at times. This is one of the most vicious listens I've had all year. I only wish they listed the tracks in the back because I can't remember some of them, because some of them are in Spanish. But all I know is you put this on and you don't stop listening until the album ends, and then you start it all over again, because you can do that, because that would equal out the length of pretty much a standard album at this point. It's one of those releases that is short, but oh my god, everything that's on here is fucking just nasty, and you'll want to go back and listen to it again. Easily one of my favorite new grindcore / death grind acts that have come out. I think it's that infusion of the crossover thrash in there too. It just makes it even more fucking punchy. This is an absolutely fantastic album. Definitely check this out if you're a fan of Terrorizer and fucking Napalm Death and Peg Destroyer. Holy shit, you're gonna fucking love this band. At number 8, we have Undeath, It's Time to Rise from the Grave. This album has been fucking burning up my eardrums ever since I got it. Much like Sentient Horror, I didn't get a chance to review this one because I was on vacation, and I was very envious of Miller being able to review it on his own, because when I heard it, it was fantastic. This is so riff and groove driven, and honestly, the thing that I love about it the most is it reminds me of when I first got into death metal. This band has a combination of like early Cannibal Corpse and early Suffocation blended to pretty much perfection on here. Songs like Defiled Again and Necrobionics, instant fucking hooks. The title track is absolutely amazing. Head splattered in 7 ways. These guys embrace all the fun and camp of death metal, but man, they do it with such clever, fun fucking riffs on here, and those fun off-time grooves and wild transitions just make this a really adventurous, fun fucking listen. Alexander Jones' vocals are fucking incredible. I do my best not to call him Alex Jones because no one wants to be called Alex Jones these days, but he does an amazing fucking job in here. I can't understand why anyone wouldn't dig his vocals. Yes, I'm talking to you, Chris Barnes. I still don't understand why you bitched on that panel, but anyway, this is flat out fantastic death metal. Brings you back to that early 90s glory, but it doesn't feel as though it's retread. This feels fresh and fun and fucking invigorated. And honestly, they may have outdone their first album, which I had on a year-end list as well. If you have not checked out this album for whatever fucking reason, I don't know if there's any sort of negativity out there about it. I've heard nothing but positive feedback on this album pretty much from the start. Check it out. It's absolutely fucking amazing. This is one of those albums where I'd say this is how death metal should be done. It's fucking awesome, so check it out. Number 7, Phobophilic, Enveloping Absurdity. Pretty much keeping with this theme of death metal, there's been some absolutely crushing death metal releases this year, and this one has stood out from the pack for me, namely because their riff work and melody and almost progressive flair to songwriting has made this band just fucking jump off the page in a ton of different death metal releases. The melodic flair and technical playing on here is only matched by the fact that they can make these melodies very accessible and hooky, at least to death metal heads. Like, I'm not saying this is poppy at all. It's not. It's fucking cavernous, it's gross, it's murky, but it's fucking awesome. Songs like Those Which Stare Back, Nauseating Despair, The Illusion of Self is fucking fantastic, Survive in Obscurity. This whole album fucking rips. There's even a really cool interlude instrumental in the middle that really sets up the next song, and that was something I really loved about this album, is how well it flowed from song to song. This is very much to be sat down and listened to in its entirety. It's just a great fucking listen all the way through. Again, that creepy, dingy atmosphere that's very reminiscent of bands like fucking Incantation, but coupled with like the more technical and frantic fucking playing of a band like Tomb Mold. In fact, in a year that has been relatively absent of Tomb Mold once again, minus the demo they put out, which was really cool, this band, at least in terms of my listening, has sort of taken over a spot that was pretty much reserved for Tomb Mold and their fucking amazing death metal. I'm not saying Tomb Mold has lost any of its luster. Those albums are still amazing to come back to, but this band has that similar style, but there's a little bit more technical flair to it. And also, that being said, I'm eagerly awaiting a new Tomb Mold album, which hopefully that's what 2023 brings. But for now, fucking Phobophilic is dominating that particular style. This album is flat out incredible. I was a fan from their original EP, and they have only gotten better. This is just fucking amazing death metal. If you have missed out on this for whatever reason, I don't know why. Because much like Undeath, literally anyone that I have talked to about this album, like, holy shit, that album is fucking amazing. So, one of the best death metal albums that has come out in 2022, number 7, Phobophilic. Check this shit out. It's a fucking must listen. At number 6, we have Wormrot Hiss. This is my favorite grindcore album that has come out this year, and honestly, it might be one of my favorite grindcore albums that has come out in like the past decade. This is some of the most imaginative, inventive grindcore I have heard. Just when you think you are getting settled into what this band sounds like, they flip the script and go into different directions. Hardcore punk, crossover thrash. There are elements of more atmospheric stuff that's almost more akin to like Godflesh, or even like some more doomy material on here. This band just kind of went all out on this and sort of defied any sort of categorization outside of the grindcore fits that are most definitely on here. Very similar to Pig Destroyer in a lot of ways. This band employs a lot of interesting atmosphere between tracks. And again, flipping the script when they want to. Songs like Seizures, decidedly a lot longer than most grindcore songs get, but also employs a lot of cool groove. There's also some amazing crossover fucking moments on songs like Broken Maze or Behind Closed Doors. Much like I've said about a lot of these bands, I've been a fan of this band for a long time, and I can confidently say I think this is their best album yet. The only thing that sucks about it is their frontman departed after this album was released. And it sucks because he gave one hell of a vocal performance, pretty much matching the constant flips in terms of tempos and grooves and even stylistic shifts. His voice adapted well to every track, and again, this album was rife with experimentation, but it stayed fucking raw. It stayed fucking just gritty and nasty the entire time, but it was gritty and nasty with clever hooks and songwriting that generally you don't hear in grindcore. Like, most of the time, grindcore is very primal, and I love it for that. That's kind of the main reason I love it. But every now and then, a band comes along that reminds you that there could be a lot more going on in grindcore, and squeeze dynamics into a minute-and-a-half long song that you just did not see coming. And at least this year, that is Wormrot. This album fucking rules. One of the best grindcore albums that has come out. Again, I would say almost in the last decade. I mean, I'm sure there's other ones I'm not thinking of right now because this album is thoroughly on my mind, but this is definitely up there. Absolutely fantastic album, a must listen even for non-grindcore fans. Just check this shit out and be brave. At number 5, we have Sadistic Ritual, the Enigma, Boundless. I have jammed the living shit out of this album, and honestly, this is the best thrash-oriented album I have heard this year. It's thrash metal, it's death metal, it's black metal, it's all wrapped into one, and it's absolutely amazing. Some of my favorite riffs and biggest earworms that I have heard this year are from this album, and they are just stuck directly in my fucking brain. I love the variety on here. You can go from a thrashy banger to a more blackened, dark song like Maelstrom of Consciousness with its weird crawling riffs and the fake ending on it, and the giant ascending blackened riffs. I absolutely love the atmosphere it creates, but man, a song like Area Denial with its syncopated grooves and stomp, and holy shit, that almost Metallica worshipping fucking bridge on there that is almost kind of close to the bridge on Ride the Lightning in terms of just the epic lead work and everything. This band pretty much checks off everything I like about thrash metal and just extreme metal in general. The songwriting is infectious, the songs are very memorable as well, and the album flows beautifully. The last track, the title track, has some of the best riffs in the entire album, and that is definitely saying something because every single song on here has incredible fucking memorable riffs. Couple that with an awesome mastering job by Arthur Risk, and this just sounds very fucking dark and dingy, but man, those guitars fucking snarl on here. I think this album flew under the radar for a lot of people, but not me. I jammed it constantly, and what sucked was I had to jam other stuff, but eventually I would end up coming back to this. This is just a fucking fantastic album. I'm a huge fan of this band. Again, another one we got to see in Indianapolis at Heavy Hell, and they put on an amazing performance. This is only their second album too, so I'm hoping for big things in the future, possibly even beating this one. I don't know, this is fucking pretty damn exceptional. So yeah, if you have not jammed this album at all, I get it. It kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people, it seems, but definitely check it out. It is so worth the time. At number 4, we have Ripped to Shreds, Jubian. I fucking love this band. In fact, I want to say their last album was on my year-end list, and I think they put out their best album yet. This is death metal, death grind, death thrash. It's definitely death-oriented, but there's a lot of elements going into it, and it's that HM2 tone with the extra snarl. It's like kind of a thrashy HM2. But man, the thing I love about this is when you think you have this band kind of like in a nutshell, like you got them in a box, you know what they're about, they change it around and explore a lot of dynamics that you don't think a band this raw and this primal would actually have. Because overall their sound is vicious. There's tons of blast beats. There are fucking almost puked vocals all over here. But when you get down to songs like Race Trader on here, you hear clever melodies, great lead work, stuff that is absolutely infectious for being as brutal as it is. And the giant 10-minute track, which, oh my god, I forgot that was all in Chinese, I think. I think it's, oh god, In Solitude, Sun, Moon, Holy Cult, Part 3. I think. It's very small print there. Anyway, that song is a 10-minute riff fest that explores so many different styles of death metal. The transitions are really well done. The song's very dynamic. There's lots of cool peaks and valleys in it, and the themes on here are very unique to this band. I've been absolutely hooked on this album and this band in general. I've been a fan since, I can't remember the name of the EP, but I can remember the cover. Anyway, I love their sound. I mean, I'm an HM2 slut. That's pretty much well known by now, but these guys do it a little bit differently. Their riff structure isn't the typical, like, HM2 death metal style, and there's that little bit of thrash and grindcore mixed in to make it even more vicious sounding. This is my favorite death metal release, or at least like death metal adjacent release, because I do think there's elements of grind and thrash in here. It is definitely a bit of a mix, but I can definitely say it's my favorite in terms of this band's output so far. This is absolutely fantastic, and I don't think there's a single weak moment on here. Definitely check this out if you slept on it. Ripped to Shreds fucking rules. Literally everything they put out has been amazing, so go ahead and check all that out while you're at it. But definitely check this one out. I think this might be their best one yet. Number 3, White Ward, False Light. To say this album was mind-blowing would be an understatement. I had only heard about this band before reviewing this, and then when John and I reviewed this, our minds were literally blown. Like I said, this is black metal. I would say maybe post-black metal, but for me, I would almost call it progressive black metal. The way these songs are constructed, they're almost written in movements. There's so much attention to atmosphere, and the atmosphere in here is very interesting. Like, you have a almost noirish feel to it. The horns on here are absolutely amazing, and the fact that they are done very frequently on here and contribute always to the melodies, I like it. Sometimes, you know, the saxophone and metal, which I don't think this is a sax player, it might be a trumpet player, or it could be thinking of another band right now. But either way, there's definitely a horn. But sometimes that gets to be a bit much. And I've heard a lot of people saying, like, listen, I'm kind of done with the saxophone and metal things. Like, I'm not, as long as it's done well. And this band does it exceedingly well. These songs are long, they're methodical, they're very well thought out. The opening track, Leviathan, is, oh man, just such an amazing way to start. All the black metal atmosphere, but also you get breakdowns that are very akin to Gojira, and almost like a wild sort of songwriting style, kind of like Between the Buried Me to a degree. There's elements of goth rock on here, like almost Sisters of Mercy-ish. There's some death metal peppered in. This band threw in everything they had and they mixed it up properly. Like, this doesn't feel forced. The transitions don't feel sloppy. It doesn't feel as though they're reaching too far. This is just fucking amazing. And considering this band is from the Ukraine, and considering what Ukraine's going through, in fact, I believe this band's studio where they recorded this was actually bombed by Russia. The fact that they were able to fucking work on this and get it done with all that shit going on, fucking props to them. So in a way, I see this as part of that awesome Ukrainian defiance that I've seen in terms of fucking Russia trying to bully them, Ukraine's gonna keep fighting back, and they're gonna keep hopefully putting out amazing fucking music like this. This was one that once I had listened to it more than twice, didn't take very long. I was like, yeah, this is truly something special. This is 100% gonna be on my year-end list. And here it is, all the way at number 3. This album is absolutely fantastic. Definitely check it out. I think this is some of the finest black metal I have heard this year. Granted, it's not just black metal. There's a lot of other stuff too, but at its core, it's black metal, and all of it is awesome. So definitely check this out. And number 2, we have Cave In, Heavy Pendulum. Man, this was the comeback that I wanted. When Cave In put out Final Transmission, I thought that was it. That was their farewell to Caleb Schofield, who had died in a car wreck in 2018 and is definitely sorely missed. But then I heard that they were coming out with a new album, and slowly but surely the singles started coming out. I was like, dude, that sounds great. Replacing Caleb was probably one of the hardest things to do, but they got Nate Newton from Converge, and he was literally the perfect fit, and this is the best Cave In album I have heard yet. This pretty much blends everything that they have done well throughout the course of their long career. You have some throwbacks to their earlier metalcore years where they were a lot more snarly and heavy, like Searchers of Hell, but you also get these sludgy rockers like New Reality and Floating Skulls, and the title track in here, which is absolutely awesome. But the thing that I liked about this is this one felt more like closure for Caleb in the songs. Like, there are songs that are specifically about him, and they are very touching and heartfelt, and I absolutely love them. Blinded by a Blaze, Reckoning, and Wavering Angel, which just has some gut-wrenching lyrics on it, they really just kind of capture my emotional interest as well as just my musical interest, because the songs are very well composed. Stephen Brodsky knows how to write incredible heavy hooks and add his unique flair of different distortions and different sorts of atmosphere on top of it. But it's also his emotionally charged lyrics that I really got behind. And this album is fantastic from start to finish. Where Final Transmission felt like it was going to be the end of the band, and again, I don't like when bands I love that have been around for a while put the word final in any album title. This feels like a rebirth. Like, this is a new era of the band, and it sounds like their most focused, mature era yet. And if you see them in their interviews and some of their live behind-the-scenes stuff, they seem invigorated again, and I absolutely love that. I regret missing this band on tour. They were in Detroit, but unfortunately overlapping dates with that stuff I had to do, I couldn't make it to that one. But I will see them, and I can't wait to hear these songs live. This is one of the best albums of 2022, one of my personal favorites, and in terms of that emotional connection, it's fucking huge on here. Definitely check this one out. Again, this is possibly the finest piece of work this band has put out to date, and this is my comeback of the year right here, because I thought this band was done, and I'm so glad they're not. So, check it out. And here we are, at number 1. And pretty sure some of you might have an idea what it is. But again, I put out some 4.5s pretty frequently. And I don't know, this might be one that slid on the radar. But it also might be one that you're suspecting. So let's clear it up right now. My number 1 album for the year, 2022, was Voivod, Synchro, Anarchy. Holy shit, this is fucking amazing. And why this band doesn't get more respect is still beyond me. This was the closest I came to giving a 5-star review. 4.5 was gonna have to do. I mean, I could have done like 4 9/10, but you know, we don't like doing other fractions other than halves here. Somehow this band, I think, just keeps getting better here lately. Their last album, The Wake, was absolutely fucking mind-blowing. And somehow I think they may or may not have outdone it. At least they have tied with it, because this is fucking amazing. These songs are so well crafted and so unique. They literally sound only like Voivod. There's literally no other band out there that I can think to compare Voivod to other than Voivod. And that seems more than a tad redundant. Their proggy strangeness, their unique songwriting style, their weird fucking rhythms, everything just comes together so well in here. Songs like Mind Clock and Holographic Thinking being longer and more thought out and kind of more creepy, but the title track and Planet Eaters being just riffy bangers, and Sleeves Off, it's almost kind of like an upbeat kind of like punky song, except their version of punk, which is fucking weird. I love the production on here. The bass work on here really stands out. I absolutely love it. Away's drum work is fucking fantastic. And holy shit, Chewy's guitar work is just amazing. Like, I don't even know what he's fucking doing. Even if I was a guitarist, I probably wouldn't know what he's doing. That dude is just on some other level. Very much a student of Piggy in every single way, but I think he's even expanded on what Piggy did initially and just kind of taken it and rolled with it. And Snake's vocals, somehow in all these dissonant melodies and atonal notes and weird transitions, he finds just strange, unique hooks in terms of like vocal passages, and lyrically, I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. It's all fucking weird. It's all dystopian, sci-fi fucking weirdness, and I love it. And Voivod just flat out crushed it this year. I love that after all the repeated listens of this album still fucking mystifies me, and I like that element about a lot of Voivod's releases. They sound unique. They have their own fucking thing, and I think only they seem to get it, but we seem to like it. So yeah, my number 1 album of 2022. This album's a fucking beast, and I'm already excited for any future Voivod releases because I think they are on a tear here lately. So this is like 2 fucking amazing albums back to back from them. So again, for whatever reason, if you didn't check this out, check it out. It is an absolutely amazing album. It is my favorite album of this year. So, I mean, if I'm putting it on this much of a pedestal, the least you could do is check it out. I mean, what's the worst? You won't like it? I mean, I suppose it's possible, but you know, you won't know until you check it out. So yeah. And that is it. That is my top 10. That is my top 40, all fucking wrapped up. And we are on to 2023 after this. And I'm already excited to see what it brings. I already know there's a bunch of releases on the horizon from some pretty notable bands. Obituary, Enslaved. New In Flames songs sound really fucking good. I haven't said that sentence out loud in fucking years. So we have a whole other year of fucking material to give you, and I can't fucking wait. It'll be fucking fun because there's so many bands we're gonna get to go over. New set of rankings too, and yeah, who knows what 2023 brings. I mean, other than, you know, some other stuff I'm gonna bring up, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the adventure. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our store is there with shirts. We are short on some sizes, namely extra large, but we will restock eventually. But our link to our Patreon is also there. Again, we still have polls going on for our next batch of rankings. After we do Crowbar, we will probably be closing Shred's poll here in a bit, so stay tuned for Jam and John selections. So we're gonna need some votes on that. And again, if you want to get in on selecting what we actually rank here in the future, the Patreon link is down below. And of course, Denver Death Fest will be held in Denver. Apparently I was informed there's one in the UK. It's not that one, it's the one in Colorado. I'm at least 70% sure of that. Anyway, this will take place April 20th through April 22nd. We will be making an announcement as to the final lineup come the new year, which is sneaking up relatively soon, so you won't have to wait that much longer. I'm not entirely sure if this will be the complete lineup. There might still be available spots for bands, so we will continue to update you as things go along, but we are looking forward to it and looking forward to seeing some of you there. And I probably should mention there is a link to Denver Death Fest down below in the description, so you can check that for updates as well. But it should be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to letting you know what's all going on there. And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that shit. Again, it means the world to us, and I know the thank you part of the video, I end up saying the same shit, especially since I've recorded these videos in a very short span of time. I can't think of different shit to say. I'm just fucking thankful, and it's interesting that we're coming to the close of yet another year here, and just seeing how much the channel has grown, it's absolutely amazing. So, you guys fucking rule. Thank you so much for following a couple of dopes that like to hang out in my basement and talk about metal and, well, a fair amount of dick jokes too. We are always appreciative of all the fucking love you give us, even though sometimes we kind of wonder why we're getting it, but we appreciate it nonetheless. You guys definitely keep us going here, and we're looking forward to another year of fun shit. So once again, thank you all so much for watching, and we will catch you later.